Rushing Manhua. If there wasn't a prince who understood romance, the princess would probably sleep forever in her eternal beauty sleep, always staying away from world problems and being loved but unknown. One hand slides across her face gently. The woman who owns this hand climbs on top of the princess, and when she is about to bend down, a man opens the door carrying a bouquet of flowers. "Maybe I arrived at the wrong time," says the man. He asks the nurse if she is carrying out an examination on Xiaomeng, but no, she is not. Then the woman gets off the bed and tells him that in fact she had already finished when he opened it. And by the way, all her signs were stable. "But her conscience isn't here yet, right?" questions the man. In front, the young woman who is with the nurse says that this is how it is. Falling syndrome is more of a phenomenon than a disease in itself. It happened about 5 years ago, and suddenly 1 in 5 people in the world lost consciousness at the same time. Which standard? No prevention, unknown pathology, and most importantly, no cure. Even the best technologies in the most expensive areas of the city are useless, not to mention the conditions there. All they can do is try their best to preserve the man's sister's body and wait. The question, it's just that waiting won't solve the problem. Many of these people are dying, and the government subsidies to keep them is decreasing year after year. The nurse tells the boy that it's not easy for him either. All the nurses on the floor can always predict the clothes he's wearing, and he replies that 2 sets of clothes for him are enough. At that moment, the nurse goes to touch the flowers that are on the counter. The man quickly intervenes and changes the bouquet. The nurse can leave it to him. Leaving the room with a strange look, he states that flowers should never stop blooming. If one day Xiaomeng wakes up and sees withered flowers, she will definitely feel very sad. So he stops in front of the door, puts his hand inside the bouquet, and takes out a camera. The filming reveals the woman entering the room, climbing on top of the young woman and doing something very strange. The man wonders if this is so. She is a 29-year-old Jinzi, head nurse at the hospital in the lower city. Her CV before joining the hospital is a mystery, but this is not uncommon there. She is kind and highly praised by patients, and compared to the male staff, she seems more focused on dealing with female patients. The man's sister's condition was once much worse, but improved significantly after being cared for by her. She is definitely a healing-related ability user. Abilities are not that uncommon. Usually 1 person in 1,000 has them, but throughout human history, only a few people have been confirmed to possess the ability to heal. His power is far beyond other vast abilities. It exceeds everything that is explainable and does not match modern medicine. It's like some kind of miracle, regenerating severed limbs, curing terminal illnesses even, bringing back souls. He wonders why she used the skill on Xiaoming secretly, and if she really did, why Xiaoming's vitals always remain at the lowest level. In any way, this is a problem. He can't let her life depend on such uncertain factors, but if he could learn the skill from her. Suddenly, his eyes close, and after a decade of absence, the deep dive returns. He sinks into that darkness and remembers 10 years ago when he made a vow, saying that the sins committed cannot be undone. At least he must seal the forbidden door forever. But at this moment, there is only one thing to do: find the key that can save her. So he dives to the bottom and activates level 1 of the deep dive. He opens his eyes and sees a room that looks like it belongs to a child. He wonders if it was a successful deep dive. He looks in the mirror and sees his reflection, a young girl, and freezes. It seems like everything went well, but he didn't expect to get back this far. The man is embarrassed to speak in that voice that seems so childish. Leaving that aside, he hasn't used his ability in a while. He's rusty. He accidentally entered her body too young. The skill, deep diving, works through the sea of the subconscious, projecting the current soul into the past body of another, maintaining one's own consciousness, freely personalizing the inactive target, arbitrarily changing his actions in the past. Changing the future is possible. As he goes to the window, he notices the air quality that can probably only be found in the upper city now. When it comes to behavior, Jinzi has always been excellent at the hospital. Looking at a photo that is there, she states that this type of nobility is still a little exaggerated for that. It's hard to imagine what happened to her to end up in the lower city. Then he cuts his finger on the painting and realizes that it is super delicate. He has to be more careful. It's also a great opportunity to try to test the cure, but he tries, and nothing happens. Looks that the Prota arrived too soon. He will put her on her original path and move on to the next memory fragment. But before following, he notices the book that was with him when he arrived. She was reading a medical book, definitely not something common for children of that age. rage. Suddenly, thoughts invade his mind about how she hates studying and that the weather is so good and Mr. Adric isn't even there. She just wants to go out and play. It seems that when the Prota is in a dive, he has the control to do whatever he wants. But if he disregards his host's wishes, the resulting butterfly effect can lead to very serious consequences. The voice in his head even wonders if it would be cool to jump from a high place. Then the girl or guy leaves the room and goes to a large room and notices that there is no one there. But suddenly someone runs past her. She wonders if it's her sister Anna. The girl saw someone and now wants to follow them. It is difficult for the Prota to help her in that situation. Then she comes face to face with a large painting, drags it to the side and presses a button. At that moment, a door opens and she goes down to the Prota. The smell he is smelling does not mean a good thing. The situation has completely deviated from his initial expectations. When going down the stairs, she sees her Uncle Lou and her sister and what appears to be a body on a stretcher. Her uncle asks Anna if everything is clean yet, and she replies that apparently yes, but the Luo tells her not to worry and asks if this is the first time she has done this. Anna replies that she has gained some experience working at the master's hospital, but I still need her uncle for guidance. The young lady, seeing the situation, doesn't understand what they are cleaning. It looks more like precise surgery than just cleaning. It's time to find a new guardian for Miss, says the uncle. Then the little girl goes into despair. That body belonged to her tutor, Adric. He had recently replaced her old tutor. Many memories trigger at that moment. I understand the desire to go out and play, so let me tell you one last story, Adric said to her. The Prota is surprised by her memories. Scared to death, the girl takes a step back and steps on her father's foot. A man throws a liquid out the window, and as it drips, the protagonist wakes up in fright. He was forcibly expelled. Then he goes to take a shower. Even though he has some guesses about Jinzi's mysterious past, the situation totally exceeded his expectations, and considering he did everything she wanted, it probably happened. But the current information is still very limited. Suddenly, Xi Yao Yu, are you home? He thinks it's the rent lady, but it can't be. So he runs to check. The Prota only has his salary. He's having trouble keeping up with rent and hospital expenses. He can't let her know about the money he borrowed. He apologizes for taking so long and opens the door. However, it appears that she was calling him because she was being threatened by some very large men, and they start to beat the Prota, but he asks them to wait. He can explain. Then one of the men throws something at him and he falls asleep. Upon waking, he realizes he is upside down. The men say that he must have an idea why he was there like that. So he responds that Wu Tian is always like this, but there's no need to worry, he's following, and asks if there are only 20. Wait until he puts the project into operation in the city Chave de Prata. Men, they don't believe him and start asking who he thinks he's talking to. They're not fools. Brother Wu Tiao knows exactly what color your underwear is. But Wu Tian brother says he's not interested in boys anyway. Why would he care about your underwear? Plus, he's not irrational. You will pay as much as you can afford and confirm with Yao Ji. At that moment, Yao Ji starts talking and asks the Prota if he can imagine why his name is that. According to him, it's because of his ability to cut. He's already cut about 20. While they intimidate the Prota, a woman arrives from above. She says that for such a small amount, it is not good to shed blood. She wants to pay for it. The men recognize her as a Meng lawyer. They say that her information is very accurate. It's no wonder she's the only information dealer in the lower city who's still alive. Accordingly, with her, wherever she goes, she makes connections but tries to avoid problems as much as possible. And also, everything is a question of money. Once you are in place, just negotiate. The leader, the gang agrees. He just doesn't understand her connection with Xiao Yu. Is there some story he didn't know about? In that, at that moment, she approaches Xiao Yu and touches his face and tells the man not to be fooled by his current state. He is usually someone remarkable. 10 years ago, she suffered a lot for him. The city is super colorful. She bought a drink for her and him, but he refuses. He also says that he will find a way to pay her back in 3 months. According to her, he could have talked to her instead of going after Wu Tiao. That's the problem with men, male pride. In his memory, he is still so spiritual and rebellious, but he retorts by saying that it is not necessary to say such things. She helped me today out of the kindness of her heart. It must be more than just nostalgia for the past. She stops and sits on a bench and says that the money she paid to Wu Tiao will be back to her in a maximum of 2 weeks. He should relax. So he asks what she wants with him, and she asks him to sit down and starts to talk about his sister who, in recent years, because of Xiao Meng's situation, he has been rushing to the general hospital. right? But what does Xiao Meng have to do with this? Asks the Prota. She asks him not to be nervous. Her focus is not her sister, but someone who is in the hospital. Anyway, he must consider the matter from before as a favor. She just asks him to help her investigate something. Inside at the general hospital, there is someone secretly collaborating with criminal gang organizations like Wu Tiao, someone involved in body trafficking. That's all, guys. Leave a like and subscribe to follow the next videos. If you want to continue this work or there is another one that you want to become a video, comment below. Bye!